give me some kicks. Now, all you ladies, I shoot from the hip. I was born with a stiff upper lip. Like a down.
Love that theme song. Holy cow. Alrighty. Another grueling episode of More of the Same. Thank you for downloading the old podcast. Larry here. More 365, MOHR 365. And coming at you, we got there's a lot of stuff to talk about, and I don't know where to start. I have none of it in front of me. So, that's never going to be good, right? We have between San Diego Comic-Con, that just wrapped up, and a whole lot happening on Raw and Smackdown in the WWE. I don't know where to begin. I would like to do, I'll tell you right now, it's a little late now. Everyone's already seen the trailers and from Comic-Con. I mean, well, let's start with Comic-Con. You know what? We're talking about it. Let's get right into it. Some big trailers have been released last week after Comic-Con. Big ones like Justice League. I don't even know they had enough to do a trailer. Wonder Woman, Kong, Skull Island. That's just to name the three top ones that I was into. They had a extended trailer for Suicide Squad that I'm staying away from, because if you all know my deal about trailers, just you're better off watching the teaser and the first trailer. Beyond that, they just ruin the movie for you. So, I saw new Blair Witch, actually, trailer for that. And there were some other ones I saw that I saw were available, but I didn't watch, like what was that? The Sword in the Stone or the Sorcerer's Stone or something along those lines, something like that. But let's get into the three that I watched: Kong, Skull Island, Justice League, and Wonder Woman. Let's start off with Wonder Woman. All three of these movies are coming out in 2017, but Wonder Woman is the first female solo superhero movie, I do believe, especially from DC. And we've already been introduced to Wonder Woman from Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, but this one's going to be her origin story, or at least her origin. Yeah, her origin story. Origin story. Looks like it takes place in the 40s because Captain Kirk crash lands on the island of, God help me, I don't remember the name of the island that Wonder Woman's from, because I'm doing this on my own. But Chris Pine, Wonder Woman runs into him. They meet up. He finds out Amazonian Mastodon. And what was cool was they released also a teaser poster for Wonder Woman, and she's decked down her traditional red, white, and blue outfit, which I'm always game for. So, looks like it takes place in the 40s, I'm assuming, this standalone movie. And it's that what it is. You see the lasso of truth. You see her, ducking and diving, bouncing bullets off of her bracelets and everything. So it's going to be, and this movie, Wonder Woman, at least the trailer, looks bright. Because as much as Batman v Superman was very dark to watch. Not tone. I just mean visually. It was just dark colors. Wonder Woman looks bright and watchable, and I won't say cheerful, but lighthearted as far as tone. But then you get that Wonder Woman logo there at the end, and you get her song from Batman v Superman, or whatever it is. So this Wonder Woman, as much as everyone panned Batman Superman, and I didn't have a problem with Batman Superman. I'm not saying it's the greatest superhero movie of all time, but it's not bad. It's not bad. But Wonder Woman looks fantastic. Now, with Wonder Woman is going to come the Justice League, because we out of nowhere got a trailer for the Justice League, and I didn't even know they started filming it, to be honest with you. And it's basically, in a nutshell, Batman walking around recruiting Batman and Wonder Woman walking around recruiting everybody, because we get to see in action Aquaman, we get to see in action The Flash, we see Cyborg, but I don't really hearing much about it, and conspicuous by his absence, Superman, but I'm sure he'll eventually make his way back into the movie. Justice League is going to be to DC, obviously, what the Avengers is to Marvel. And I don't know if they're going to introduce any other characters in this Justice League movie. But, again, it's hard to say if it's going to be good or not, because I honestly thought Batman Superman was going to knock it out of the ballpark. And as much as it was good, I think it did fall short of of expectation. Some people would say it fell very short of expectation, but I didn't have a problem with it. But I just these team up movies, get as many characters on the screen as possible, I think works out. Definitely worked with Civil War, and I'm not talking, forget about storyline wise, just throwing all these superheroes on the screen at once, and that definitely worked for. Let me get comfortable here. Don't mind me. Caught in this in my own apartment, so I'm just going to get comfy on a Sunday. So where, what was I? Civil War. So where Civil War, just threw everyone onto the screen, which in my opinion worked. Don't get me wrong, but the same will go well with Justice League. By just kind of, and I don't know what the story is. I don't know who the villain's going to be. I don't know if Doomsday's coming back, or if it's going to be Darkseid maybe. But it was great to see these characters. Aquaman, I'm a little worried about Aquaman because he wasn't as dark and menacing in the comic and the cartoons as he appears to be in the Justice League movie. But we'll take it for what it's worth. At this point, we're going to have to. We have no choice. What else? So that was... And look, I can talk about these trailers all day. Really, the best way is just go to YouTube, look them up, and watch them. It's definitely well worth it. And then you can get your actual true feelings on Wonder Woman Justice League. And now Kong Skull Island. Okay, I'm a King Kong fan. Love King Kong. Love the original 1933 movie. The ones from the 70s and early 80s. Okay, we'll deal with them. They're there. We have to live with it. Peter Jackson did an excellent remake of King Kong. I'm not going to say anything bad about that because it was a good movie, but there's still nothing like the OG Kong. And Kong Skull Island, I don't know if it's a prequel, if it's a reboot, if it's a sequel. I don't know if it's the same King Kong from 33. But it appears it takes place in the 70s because the military who fly in look, the uniforms, the helicopters look very Vietnam era. So I'm assuming it's the 70s. Maybe late 60s, but probably early 70s. And... you don't actually see... you see, of course, they give hints to King Kong, so you don't actually see King Kong, but in the visuals that they saw... Now, King Kong was only... between 50 to 75 feet tall? No, not even that much, maybe, because he wasn't... in the movie, he was only a couple stories, really. If at all. So he was big, don't get me wrong, he was a big ape, but in this movie, Skull Island, he is huge, because the helicopters just look like they dwarf next to him. I don't know how I feel about that just yet. Now, the reason why they're probably doing it is because down the road in a few years, they are going to team up this new King Kong against the new Godzilla that we got last year. So I guess, and Godzilla in that movie was beyond huge. So they needed to square him up at some point because it was going to be, the same smaller Kong versus the larger Godzilla. Godzilla would have destroyed him as easily as he destroyed Bambi. So, but time will tell. Again, there was the teaser. I'll wait for the first official trailer. But I'm going to see all 3 of these movies. Who am I kidding? Even though I'm a little far behind, I have not seen X-Men Apocalypse. And I don't even know if I think it's already out of the theaters. It's probably the first... I'm trying to think here. I believe it may be the first superhero movie I have not seen in the theater in a while. Yeah, and it's not another reason. I mean, look, whether it's good or bad, everyone's going to see it. It's whether or not they're going to see it in the theater or wait for it to watch it at home. At this point, I'm going to have to wait to watch for it at home. But, yeah, I don't know why I just never got a chance to get out and see it. Oh, well. Some other news coming out of Comic-Con. And yeah, I know, beyond... I'm not going to go through the Mystery Science Theater news that I was most excited about. That was last week's episode. But we got Brie Larson has signed on to play Captain Marvel. It's for Marvel's first standalone female superhero movie. What else did we get? I'm doing this off the top of my head, so I know I'm going to forget some stuff. Ghost Rider will be in the new season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Also, they showed a trailer for, which I haven't not seen yet, trailer for Luke Cage on Netflix. And I don't remember if this news came out during Comic-Con or it may have came out after Comic-Con. I don't remember which one. But, there we go. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. No, they announced that, completely left what I was about to say. Holy cow. Oh, Defenders, that's right. Actually, 2 big news coming out of Marvel. The Defenders, which I thought was going to be a Netflix movie, is now going to be a Netflix TV show, which will feature Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Daredevil. They did announce, I believe, season 3 of Daredevil. But that won't be coming out, I think, till like 2018 or something, if I read that right. It's a long way off. And probably one of the biggest post-Comic-Con news is that what we originally thought was going to be the Avengers Infinity Wars Part 1 and then Part 2 is now 2 completely separate movies. So they're combining Infinity Wars into one movie, and then what would have been Infinity Wars Part 2 is now Untitled Avengers Movie. So whatever the story for Infinity Wars was, is they're not going to spread it out over 2 movies. They're going to jam it into one and then do I'm assuming, a completely different story for Avengers, the Untitled Avengers movie, which would come out a year later. And that I'm actually happy with. A lot of movies have been... Twilight did it. Harry Potter did it. I'm sure some other ones did. I can't remember right now. But basically, they've been stretching their their final series movies into 2 movies. Obviously, to get the biggest bang out of their buck. But, you know what? Just give us the movie. That's all. Give us the movie that we want. And that's what they're doing. They're combining Infinity Wars. I think you'll be able to tell a better story in 2 hours than 4. Especially when they're a year apart from each other. And that gives room for a new story, or maybe fresh beginnings or something, for whatever Untitled Avengers movie will be. More information on that will come out as it goes along. Besides that, from Comic-Con, Marvel showed updated official logos now for their movies coming up. Black Panther, Guardians Volume 2, my personal favorite, Thor Ragnarok, because the logo, if you look it up for Thor Ragnarok, looks like a 80s heavy metal band logo. So that one I quite enjoy personally. So, yeah, Comic-Con was good this year. I'm really hoping to get there one year. I really hope I get to go next year. I really hope someone listening maybe wants to sponsor me to go out there. Or just get me tickets and I'll pay you back. Most likely it will be get me tickets and I will pay you back. So with Comic-Con out of the way, this was also a huge week for the WWE. So we're going to get into some wrestling right now. And this was the first week of the new era in WWE, especially with the brand extensions. It's the first Raw and the first SmackDown Live on their own since the draft. And I'm going to say right off the bat, home runs on both shows. Raw, I'll admit, I actually caught most of it. I caught the tail end of it live, and I caught the beginning of it on tape delay because I was out watching Batman the Killing Joke, which I'll get into at another time. Long story short, I enjoyed it. But Raw announced a new, since at Battleground, Dean Ambrose held on to the WWE Championship, and Dean Ambrose is on SmackDown Live, so now the WWE World Heavyweight Championship is on SmackDown Live. Leaving Raw without a title. We all knew they were going to create a title. We did not know what it was going to be called, but we now know that at SummerSlam, we will crown the first ever WWE Universal Champion. When I first heard that title name, I think I laughed out loud, hashtag literally LOL'd. But when I went back and watched Raw, and I realized the reason for it, it makes sense. I would probably prefer a different name, but let's face facts. What else are they going to call the title? What else do you call a world championship? Unless they call it the Raw Championship. But then it wouldn't make sense because SmackDown doesn't have a SmackDown Championship. They have the WWE Championship. Raw couldn't call it the World Heavyweight Championship because SmackDown has the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So when Mick Foley announced it, it said it's dedicated or named after the WWE Universe, the fans. So they call it the Universal Champion. A week has gone by. I'll live with it. It's not the worst thing in the world. We'll deal with it. I'm curious what the belt will look like. That's the next step. But it was on Raw at the end of the night. We found out that at SummerSlam, for the first ever, to crown the first ever WWE Universal Champion, it will be Seth Rollins going one-on-one with Finn Balor. Unbelievable that they're putting Balor in a title match this quickly at SummerSlam since coming up from NXT, and he well deserves it. The matches, again, I fast forward through a lot of them, so it was more on SmackDown when I watched. So tomorrow on Raw, tomorrow night I'll be able to watch Raw a little bit better, like to really focus on it. But yeah, the finals was Balor and Roman Reigns, and I guess they're punishing Roman. They've jobbed him twice in a row for the title too, or for an opportunity at the title. So, but Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins would have been not fun for SummerSlam, but Finn Balor and Seth Rollins at SummerSlam is going to be amazing. Also, which I feel like they did this just to, because it was the first Raw of the new era, that shock and awe, and kind of to get people talking, hey, look, anything can happen. Sasha Banks finally defeated Charlotte on Raw to become the new WWE Women's Champion. Overdue, definitely overdue, completely deserving of the gold. I would have preferred for them to hold off till SummerSlam to do it, because they just announced that Charlotte gets her rematch at SummerSlam. But I mean, the crowd reaction, the want, the cheer, the enjoyment of her winning the title was not any less because of Raw. Personally, I would have liked to have seen it happen at SummerSlam, but I guess with her winning the title and them crowning a new Universal Champion, and we'll see what happens with the WWE title, probably just too much happening at once, so at least they can focus. You know, Sasha got her night on Raw, which is fine. Great, congratulations. She deserves it. Hopefully she's going to hold the title for a while. And beyond that, Raw just was really good with action. They moved the announced team up by the stage like they did the first time around with the draft extension. I kind of like it up there. I don't know why. Corey Graves, best thing to happen so far. Even nothing wrong with JBL, but Corey Graves needed to be on the main roster, and he is. They just need to get rid of Cole and Saxon. But for now, Raw took off without a hitch, in my opinion, their first night. Next night on SmackDown Live, same thing. The matches were great. They were focused more on matches, not as much behind the scenes too much. Both shows actually did like interviews at around ringside, which I thought was different. That's fine, trying some new stuff out. I didn't notice this as much on Raw as I did on SmackDown, probably because I was actually watching SmackDown. SmackDown's using a lot of the crane cam, which they used when NXT... Well, before NXT was what it is today, when it was the elimination competition. They use a lot of that crane cam. I don't mind it because they don't do that violent zooming that the cameramen do. But it's just a different angle. It's going to take time to get used to. I'm not going to mind it. But the biggest thing to come out, actually a few big things come out of SmackDown Live. First of all, we got the return of Rhino. He's back on SmackDown. It was also announced that soon Shelton Benjamin, that came out of nowhere, is coming back to SmackDown Live. I think because the draft Raw got more people than SmackDown, you're going to see a lot of new superstars or returning superstars on SmackDown. And I still feel bad for those like Barrett and Adam Rose and a few of these guys who got released like way before they announced the draft, because I think Wade Barrett would definitely thrive on either show, Raw or SmackDown, with a brand extension. But who knows? Never say never. He may be back. But for now, Rhino, Shelton Benjamin heading back to SmackDown. And they announced a new number one contender for Dean Ambrose's WWE World Heavyweight Championship. There's a lot of mixed reaction on the internet about this, a lot of mixed reaction of people I know about this, but in a six-pack challenge, Dolph Ziggler is going on to SummerSlam to take on Dean Ambrose for the title. Ziggler is deserving. Ziggler is over-deserving. Dolph Ziggler should have been WWE Champion twice already, in my opinion. 2 times is good. He's been held back for the longest time, and now he's finally get his recognition and his deserving spot in a main event in a title match at a big pay-per-view like SummerSlam. And that's what he deserves. Yes, it came out of nowhere, but then again, these are all the beginnings of these new shows, so that's fine. They did not need any build-up. And you know what? Even if he doesn't win the title at SummerSlam, Ambrose and Ziggler for the WWE title at SummerSlam, it's just a breath of fresh air, in my opinion. And that's what this brand is going to be all about. That's what both brands are going to be about. Fresh air. I feel like more SmackDown than Raw, but that's time to tell. And then, of course, at SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar, because he can fail the drug test in the UFC, but he is a part-time contracted superstar. And as we found out, part-timers are not subjected to the wellness policy of the WWE. So him and The Rock are all jacked up, and they're not going to be randomly tested. How you agree or disagree with that, I don't know how contracts work. I don't know if that does make sense or not. But bottom line to me, it don't matter, because we're going to see Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton at SummerSlam. 4 big matches assigned for SummerSlam. I will be at SummerSlam, and I can't wait to be there. Actually, that whole weekend, holy cow, that SummerSlam weekend. That Saturday, I got Evolve Wrestling in the afternoon. Then I'm going to, immediately right after that, I'm heading for the Barclays Center. And I'm going to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2, which was announced this past week on NXT. Samoa Joe will defend the NXT Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. That's going to be fantastic. And I have a feeling, don't know, ask me why, I have a feeling we may get Nakamura's first loss at TakeOver. Time will tell. I think we're also going to get Bayley versus Asuka. That has not been announced officially, but the way they started doing that on NXT television this past week, I think we're going to look for that. In which I think Bayley will lose, and then I got to imagine shortly thereafter she'll move on permanently to the main roster. She was Sasha's partner at Battleground and probably got the biggest pop of the night. Bayley did. So yeah, I got those 2 shows on Saturday. Sundays, SummerSlam. Then Mondays, Monday Night Raw, also at the Barclays Center. So I got those 4 shows in 3 days. Then that following Saturday, a week after Evolve and Takeover, I'm back in Brooklyn for Ring of Honor, Field of Honor 2016. That show is shaping up to be really, really good. They're going to have a 4-corner survival match for the Ring of Honor title. I forget who's in it besides... It's a couple of guys from New Japan, and I think Adam Cole and Jay Lethal. But Jay Lethal and Adam Cole are going to fight for the Ring of Honor title the week before on pay-per-view. So I don't know who's going to walk in as champion. Also, what's cool is, for the first time ever in Ring of Honor, the IWGP Intercontinental Championship will be on the line. So I'm looking forward to that. Ooh, is that at the pay-per-view, Death Before Dishonor, or is that Ring of Honor, Field of Honor? I'm getting my things mixed up. Oh boy. I think that means I better start wrapping everything up here. So, yeah, so a little mix of, hopefully you stayed along for the wrestling talk, and hopefully you enjoyed the Comic-Con talk, and we have a lot more coming up. My August is so booked. My God, I cannot wait. I'm going to go see Yoga Hosers, Kevin Smith movie, on Tuesday. Then I got the National Sports Convention in Vegas. Holy cow, I wish. In Atlantic City. Week after that's the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo, which I'm sure I'll report about for the retro gamers. Then week after that's SummerSlam weekend. Week after that's Ring of Honor. Ooh, boy, I am busy. And with that being said, I'm going to catch you all guys later. Thank you for listening. Remember to follow me everywhere at More365. Catch you guys later.
On a bit of a trip, looking for thrills to give me some kicks. Now, all you ladies, I shoot from the hip. I was born with a stiff upper lip. Looking down in hell.